Welcome back to the Hannahcast YouTube channel, and today it is time for updated Oscar predictions for July. This is the final Oscar predictions video for July before I move on to August. This is going to be for the below-the-line categories, you know, the text, stuff like casting and animated feature, all that kind of cool stuff. And we might as well get started on it right now with Best Casting. And this is interesting. Now, I have finally seen The Life of Chuck. And while I don't really think its prospects in Best Picture are very strong anymore, or I mean, okay, that's not to say that I didn't very much like The Life of Chuck. No, I would actually be happy if it did get into Best Picture. But again, because of how badly it flopped at the box office, it's probably not going to be campaigned that much, really. But however, one thing I did kind of realize is it could still get into casting, because when watching The Life of Chuck, I noticed that the whole third act was revolving around, kids in school and stuff, and it's like, the movie could still get nominated for that. It could still get nominated for casting. Now, people will probably say, well, I mean, it was a big box office flop. Why would they ever nominate it? But again, let's look at the RTOS Awards, the Casting Directors Awards ceremony. All right. Well, in 2023, they gave Best Casting for a big budget comedy to Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. A movie that really did not do well at the box office despite very strong reviews. And it beat out the likes of Air, Wonka, Cocaine Bear, Asteroid City, just way more prominent, comedies that more people probably watched. I'm not sure how many people saw Cocaine Bear in comparison to Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, but still, I mean, I think that's nothing to sneeze at. And the reason why I'm paying attention to that is because, sure, they do split up the categories in the RTOS Awards into different, budget types. Like, there's big budget, studio comedies, independent, or not just comedies, but, like big budget dramas and comedies, studio dramas and comedies, independent, dramas and comedies, all that kind of stuff. Like, just really narrowing it down to, budget stuff. But even if it doesn't help too much in terms of nominations, or at least, who gets nominated, the winners I do want to pay attention to, because you do start to see patterns. And, with the RTOS Awards, they do like it when you cast kids, as seen with films like Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, or Matilda the Musical, both of which won the Big Budget Musical Award. And then you also have The Fabelmans, where, I think a lot of it had to do with the casting of Gabriel LaBelle as Sammy Fabelman. And so, I think even if Life of Chuck doesn't get into Best Picture, it could still get into casting because of the very prominent kid cast that they have. And so I think they actually could do that. And there's a lot of really cool casting choices, from actors, that aren't really big names, but but they have small parts in this film. Like, for example, there's Matthew Lillard, he's in the film. But again, the kids thing is really where I'm putting a lot of them, not literal money, of course, but putting a lot of the money on, where it's the RTOS Awards, they like movies that cast ensembles of kids. The Life of Chuck does have that in the third act, and it's very charming. So I feel like it might actually pull that off. And let's look at the other nominations. Sinners, I still think it's probably going to win. I mean, I don't know if it would win at the actual RTOS Awards. I mean, maybe it does. I mean, if it's in big budget drama, then sure, maybe it could win. But then you also, but even if it wasn't that, there's still the General Academy. And if Sinners were to be nominated in casting, it would probably win. It's kind of hard to figure out how they would do the casting category at the Oscars, because I do feel like when it comes to who, deciding the winners, they would probably choose movies, or they would probably choose the winners based on, what's probably strongest in Best Picture. And again, we're talking about the General Academy. If this were the casting directors choosing the winners, I would not think that. But the general voting academy will probably view this as the de facto, ensemble award, since there is no ensemble award. And if you can't, give the award to the ensemble, might as well give it to the, the film, like, to a category that is kind of closer to ensemble. And I think that this could also help movies that are looking to win Best Picture, but probably not any acting awards, because that's also another big trend. You kind of want to win an acting award if you're winning Best Picture. So with Sinners, I feel like this is a good compromise, because I don't have it winning any acting awards. So in place of that, I have it winning Best Casting. And I know BAFTA has had casting for a while, and they don't always go for the most ensemble-y films. But at the same time, it's like, you gotta look at, well, for one, a lot of the, even to this day, the nominations are chosen by a jury. So there's that little bit of an asterisk right there, in terms of, what would get nominated. But, it's also kind of interesting, because it's like Elvis won Best Casting over Everything Everywhere All at Once. But at the same time, if that category were at the Oscars, do I really think the movie that won 0 Oscars would beat the film that won 7 Oscars? I don't think so. I don't really think so. So I think that is something worth considering. So, like, the General Voting Academy, they're probably going to view it as, like, the de facto ensemble awards, which is why I'm probably going to go with Sinners. However, another big update, Rental Family. Rental Family could also threaten this award. If it really wants to try to win Best Picture, it could win casting. It could do that. Even though I already have it winning, Best Supporting Actor right now. But again, that doesn't preclude it from winning this category either. Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere, it's a biopic. Those tend to do well at the Artios Awards as well. Like, movies about big, real life people tend to do pretty well. Like, A Complete Unknown won the Big Budget Drama Award. And then I think the previous year, Killers of the Flower Moon also won. So that's something that's also worth looking into. Sentimental Value could probably also get nominated here. I think, because of the film, a lot of these names aren't the biggest in terms of popularity. I mean, the most well-known, actor there is probably Elle Fanning. So, yeah. And like I said, I already explained my thing with Life of Chuck. It has an ensemble of kids, and casting directors really do like it when you cast kids. So, yeah. And so it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't even need Best Picture to get into this category, and it doesn't even really need to be that much of a box office success, because, again, look at Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, was able to win the big budget comedy casting Artios Award over much more prominent award season films. So, yeah. And outside of that, I have, like, Jay Kelly, maybe, but, like, did Marriage Story get in? Okay, so Marriage Story actually did win the studio or independent drama category. But at the same time, you look at the competition, and it wasn't really facing much of that at all. Like, it was going up against Harriet, Honey Boy, Judy, and Waves. I don't know. Like, I do put more stock in something like Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, and, Matilda the Musical beating out much bigger contenders overall. Because it's like, damn, you did that? But if it's like the expected film, I was like, all right, I don't know how seriously I should take that. So I don't know. Jay Kelly could get in, but maybe it doesn't. I'm not completely sure. No Other Choice. I could see it if it becomes like a very strong Best Picture film. But nothing's really convincing me of it right now. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, wait, did Parasite get nominated? No, Parasite actually did not get nominated for the Artios Awards. So I'm not sure how the Academy's going to go about this. So, I'm not really sure. Let's see. Ella McKay, maybe. Frankenstein. One thing the Academy also does like, not the Academy, but like the Artios Awards likes, is when you're casting, when you're casting characters that are like previously existing and very well known. Like again, let's take a look at some of the, you know, like some of the, what's the word I'm looking for? Some of the films that were like based off of like previously existing characters that won before. West Side Story, you know, won the big budget drama award at the Artios Awards. I'm not gonna count the Zeitgeist Award because that is literally just like franchise films for the most part. But let's see. And I know there was another one. Oh yeah, and also like, you know, last year, or at least, you know, the last Artios Awards we had, Wicked won big budget comedy. So but at the same time, I don't know. Frankenstein's not really that strong in Best Picture, so it's probably not going to be that. Like, I don't know if it's going to be considered a priority in casting. Kiss of the Spider-Woman would probably happen if it was stronger in Best Picture, but it's probably not. The Smashing Machine has a good argument to make because, you know, you're casting Dwayne Johnson in, like, a very big, serious role. But, again, I don't know, it's kind of tough. But he is playing a biopic character, so that does help. Christie, that could help. It was just an accident. I'm not sure if that would happen. The Wizard of the Kremlin, maybe, because you're trying to cast, you know, an actor as Vladimir Putin, so maybe. Begonia, if I'm not mistaken, the Artios Awards don't really like Yorgo Lanthimos that much. If I'm not mistaken, they don't particularly like the. They don't particularly like the, you know, Yorgo Lanthimos films, because I'm looking at this right now. The Favorite was not nominated. Poor Things was not nominated. Like, none of these got, you know, nominations over at the Artios Awards. So, I don't know. It might say something about how they view the casting, but then again, I don't know. It is done by the Casting Society of America, but I don't know if they, like, preclude films that are not, you know, casted in the U.S. I mean, I'm not exactly sure what their, you know, criteria are. But I don't know. The Secret Agent, I'm not sure. The Testament of Ann Lee, I don't even think The Brutalist, was The Brutalist nominated here? Oh wow, The Brutalist did not get nominated at the Artios Awards that year. It wasn't, obviously it's not a big budget drama. It's not really there's an independent drama, and then nowadays they have an international category. But I guess they didn't have one back then. So it's like, yeah, but like The Brutalist did not get nominated for any Artios Awards. So that's a bit surprising. So again, I'm just kind of like, what do we do? So I'm just going to assume maybe, you know, Testament of Ann Lee doesn't get in. Train Dreams, I don't know. Wicked for Good. I know a lot of people are saying Wicked for Good is locked in because they didn't get to do it the last time and now they can. But my argument is that they didn't have, like, that's something I feel like people that are not casting directors would do, because like when you look at the crafts categories, they don't really go for narratives like that. They don't really go for those kind of narratives. They kind of just look at the work and go, all right, we'll just evaluate it on that. So I don't think the casting directors are gonna go, oh man, we didn't get to honor the casting of the Wicked characters the first go round, so let's do it now. I just don't think they're gonna do that, especially since really the only major new character that they're casting is Dorothy. And if you really wanted to make an argument, I guess the voice for the lion, if he speaks, I don't know, I never saw the Wicked stage show. But those are the only two really new prominent castings you're gonna have. So yeah, I don't know. Basically, most of the casting was already done in the previous Wicked, and I don't think they're gonna nominate it because, like, here for the sake of, like, oh, well, we didn't get to do it the last time, because the crafts categories just don't really go for those kind of narratives. They don't really go, ah, man, we didn't get to do it last time, so here we go. No, they don't really operate. I feel like that, like I said, that is something that people that are not, you know, casting directors would actually do. I'm kind of looking for what else. Oh, yeah, Rivals of M. Zai King. I had this in the 5 initially, but this film is just like, no one is picking it up, and it's so weird to me. Like, what has happened? So yeah, One Battle After Another. I don't know if that sounds like the kind of film that would get nominated. Wake Up Dead Man. I don't know. Sound of Falling, After the Hunt, Marty Supreme, Hamnet, Ballad of a Small Player, Fire and Ash. So yeah, I don't know. Cinematography. I still have Sinners winning Cinematography. It is going to be a Cinematography night that night. It's the biggest, showcase of cinematography of the year. It's probably going to be considered the most impressive use of cinematography that year. It's probably going to win. Wait, I just realized something. Hold on a second. Something doesn't look right. All right, it's fixed. So yeah, Sinners I have easily winning. And I'm not gonna lie, I only have one other Best Picture film in here, and I'm not really confident. If I'm gonna be honest, Sinners is the only film here that I actually do feel confident over in a cinematography nomination. Like, I don't know what else is happening. Because I don't want to just have one Best Picture film in here. So I guess I have Springsteen Deliver Me From Nowhere because there's some black and white scenes. But is that really going to happen? I don't know. A lot of the other films in Best Picture kind of seem contemporary. And I do not believe for a second, that One Battle After Another is happening. No. Yes, it's shot on VistaVision. That's not a secret recipe to get nominated for an Oscar. No, there were a lot of films that were shot in IMAX and they didn't get nominated for cinematography. So it's no. I feel like it's going to be kind of chaos. So I just don't think One Battle After Another is going to get in. It just doesn't, from the trailers, it does not really have nomination-worthy cinematography. So I'm going with Frankenstein, even though I could see Frankenstein missing. Frankenstein could maybe miss, but it is probably going to be strong in some of the craft categories, so I guess it could get nominated. Kiss of the Spider-Woman. I mean, from the trailer, the cinematography looks incredible. But again, it's not in Best Picture, and not only that, it's not been, at least as of now, it's not been announced to go to any of the fall fests, which is very concerning to me. But I don't know, maybe the cinematography branch still kind of does sometimes do their own thing, so I don't know. And then Train Dreams, because that's one of the few nomination prospects for the film. I'm kind of running out of options. Sound of Falling, I mean, maybe it does have, from the trailers and stuff, it looks like it has some interesting cinematography. But they also didn't nominate The Girl with the Needle, even though the whole year I thought it was going to get nominated, so I don't know. I wonder if there is a chance that Avatar Fire and Ash could make a comeback in cinematography, because we don't really have because sure, it did, the second Avatar didn't get in, but there was so much competition. There was so much competition to where ASC only got 3 out of 5 in cinematography, because I know what was it, ASC, they got in Elvis. And they got in Empire of Light, but then the other nominee, I'm trying to remember what else, because I know they also had, the Oscars had All Quiet on the Western Front, The Batman. Well, no, they didn't have All Quiet on the Western Front. Oh, no. Okay, wait. Okay, oh, wait, no. ASC had Bardo, Elvis, and Empire of Light. And, the other two ASC films were Top Gun Maverick and The Batman. Whereas the Oscars, instead of Top Gun Maverick and The Batman, they went for All Quiet on the Western Front and Tar. So suffice to say, there was a lot of competition. There was a lot of competition that year. But here, there's not really too much competition. So it's could Avatar Fire and Ash just squeeze its way in there, honestly? Could it just squeeze its way in there? I mean, because it still looks pretty amazing, even though, yeah, we're talking about virtual cinematography, but a cinematographer still has to plan all the shots, so I don't think that's going to be much of a problem. But again, I'm not sure. I don't know what they're gonna do. I'm kind of stumped here. But there's not a lot of Best Picture films that are in the running. Like, even Begonia, when looking at the trailer, Begonia does not really look like it's much of a cinematography thing, especially with a film as contemporary as that. So, I don't know. Wake Up Dead Man, I mean, it has very showy cinematography in terms of colors and shadows and stuff, but I don't know, something about the lens doesn't really feel like a cinematographer's branched thing to do. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like when you look at like just like the lenses that they're using, it's like this could be more striking if, ironically enough, the image looked a little bit more flat. But so it's kind of in this weird area. So I don't know. No other choice. I mean, I'm like, maybe if it were like. Actually, I don't know if it would get into cinematography even if it were nominated for Best Picture. I just don't know. Ballad of the Small Player, I really gotta see a trailer for this to see what's going on with this film. Hamnet, we still don't know anything about this. The Testament of Anne Lee, I mean, we have gotten an image for this film, but it doesn't look like the most amazing cinematography. It just kind of looks very standard, but again, we'll have to see how the trailers hold out. Marty Supreme, I don't know exactly how strong that's going to be. Wicked for Good, if it got into Best Picture, maybe. But then again, you know, the first film also got nominated at ASC. And if this film just, you know, fixes the, you know, the color, maybe this one could get in for cinematography, but I'm not exactly sure. Again, I really want to see how strong this is of a Best Picture player. F1, the movie, I mean, sure, they did strap, you know, IMAX cameras to race cars, but I mean, they strapped IMAX cameras to planes in Top Gun Maverick, and that didn't get nominated, and that was in Best Picture. So I don't think a movie that's very clearly not in Best Picture is going to get in here if it's doing similar things. So no. The Rivals of Mzai King maybe could have done if it was in Best Picture, but it looks like it's kind of toast. And then everything else just kind of like, I just kind of put them in there, like Nouvelle Vague, I don't think that's getting in. I mean, it's black and white, but it's not really like artistic looking black and white like you would see in something like El Conde, or even really, you know, The Girl with the Needle, even though that didn't get nominated, but still. The Phoenician Scheme, no, I think the only, you know, Wes Anderson film to get nominated for cinematography was Grand Budapest Hotel, but that was also a top 3 film for Best Picture. All right, that was a top 3, so we don't, yeah, no. Let's see, sentimental value. The cinematography doesn't really look all that impressive there. Superman would be cool, but I doubt it. And I already talked about One Battle After Another. I don't know. Again, it's not looking like a very large field at all. I would not be entirely shocked if Avatar just did kind of stumble in here due to a lack of competition. So yeah, and even looking at, you know, what TIFF has announced, it's like nothing's really standing out to me as a cinematography thing. Film editing. All right. Sinners is easily the most showy case of editing of the year, and I think it's winning Best Picture, so it's probably going to win film editing. Sentimental Value, I think could also just get nominated for being like a top 2 contender. Begonia, I mean, you know, The Favorite and Poor Things also got nominated, so why not? Jay Kelly is interesting. It might get nominated, but it also might not, because Marriage Story didn't get in. But it is looking like a top 5 contender for Best Picture, so you want to take that seriously. And then Rental Family, if it wants to be a Best Picture threat to win, then I feel like it would need film editing, so I'm going to go ahead and do that as well. One Battle After Another, I could see this getting a lot of precursors and then just like, boop, misses the Oscar because it's just not that strong overall. Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere. I don't think this would get into film editing, although I guess unlike A Complete Unknown, this film is kind of bouncing back and forth between the past and the present, even though the present in this film is also the past, but you know what I mean. Avatar, Fire and Ash. Oh wait, no, it was just an accident. I don't think It Was Just an Accident is going to be that strong of a film to get nominated for editing. Even if it's in Best Picture, I don't think it's going to end up being like a Roma or a, you know, Emilia Perez or a Parasite, where those are just like strong contenders everywhere. I don't think that's going to be Accident. I think Accident is more likely going to end up being something like, you know, like Drive My Car. So yeah, Avatar: Fire and Ash. I don't think so. I mean, the first Avatar couldn't even win this category, so I don't know. But again, who knows? Maybe the competition is just that weak. We'll have to see. Is this thing on? Is looking like it will premiere, or at least that it will come out. Later this year, it seems, because it's going to be. I think they said it's coming to New York Film Festival. So yeah. No other choice. Looking at the trailer, it could happen if it's a strong Best Picture contender. But again, I'm not completely sure about that. Ella McKay, maybe, but we haven't even seen that, be announced for the Fall Fest. So I'm not even sure if it's going to have any hype. Rivals of Mzai King, again, could pull off film editing as a nomination. But again, it's like no one, it's not even been announced for any of the Fall Fest. So it's like, I don't know what's going on with this film. Kiss the Spider-Woman would be a shoo-in for editing if it was in Best Picture, but again, it's not even going to any fall fests as of recording this, so I don't know. It's probably not going to do that either. Ballad of a Small Player, Wicked for Good. Again, if Wicked for Good actually does turn out to be on par with the quality of the first film, then maybe you could get film editing. But then again, it might also not, because you look at Dune Part 2, and that movie, tanked with nominations, getting nominated for less awards than the first film won. That was insane. Life of Chuck, it would deserve a film editing nomination, but again, they're not going to campaign in Best Picture, so probably not. Marty Supreme, After the Hunt, Frankenstein, The Smashing Machine, F1 the movie, Testament of Anne Lee, House of Dynamite. I'm just kind of looking through. It's I don't know. But yeah, especially learning from the mistakes of last year, I need to stick to just Best Picture films for now. Unless there is I remember I tried to say, oh, maybe Challengers could get nominated for editing, but it was not even close to Best Picture. It got 0 nominations. So I don't even think it was I know some people will try to say that, oh, Challengers was maybe top 15 for Best Picture. Nah, if it couldn't get nominated for anything, it was not top 15. It was not top 15 at all. So yeah, no. I need to consider just the Best Picture films. Don't at least in the top 5. I mean, things can change in terms of what does get into Best Picture, but the lesson here is if it's not in Best Picture, it's probably not going to get nominated for editing. So, yeah. Then we get to production design. And this is where things get really interesting. Because, again, I don't know what's winning here. Do I really think Sinners is winning at the end of the day? No. But again, this category is really tied into Best Picture. During the in the expanded Best Picture era, there have been only 2 films that won production design that were not nominated for Best Picture. One was Alice in Wonderland, and the other one was The Great Gatsby. But the thing is, the last one to do that, The Great Gatsby, came out well over 10 years ago. And do I really want to go off of a stat that, do I really want to say that, it could happen when it, in terms of a non-Best Picture film beating a Best Picture film in production design, if it hasn't happened in over 10 years, that's probably not a stat that I really want to try to break. But again, there's not a lot of options here. There's really not. Because there's another thing that you want to... Because there's also another stat in there where it's if you're winning production design, you're probably going to win another Oscar. And, this especially held true with the Poor Things year. Because even if people thought, oh, maybe you could get a lone production design win, that ended up not being the case. It won 3 other Oscars. So it's again, I don't really think Sinners is going to win production design, but I don't have any other good options. I mean, because is Avatar: Fire and Ash going to win production design? The first film couldn't. No, the second film couldn't win that. But also at the same time, it was going up against, All Quiet on the Western Front, where sure, it wasn't expected to win production design, but you could at least see how it could win production design. The production design in that film was insane. And then there was also, it was also going up against The Fablemans, which, okay, I probably wouldn't win production design. Honestly, Fablemans could be a little bit more, akin to something like Sinners. But at the same time, there was also Elvis. Elvis was also a big contender. I mean, yeah, there were 4 Best Picture nominees, and the only one that wasn't was Babylon, and that lost. And Babylon lost production design despite the fact that it swept everywhere. Critics' Choice, BAFTA, the Art Directors Guild for Period Film. It won production design everywhere, and the Oscars still gave it to All Quiet on the Western Front. So, again, I don't know if that's gonna, I don't really want to bet on a non-Best Picture film winning. And people are going to go, what about Wicked for Good? Well, I don't have Wicked for Good in for Best Picture right now. I mean, if it does get in, okay, maybe I could put it in. If it does get into Best Picture, I could probably have it win production design. But this category is so tied into Best Picture. Like, you can win costume design without being nominated for Best Picture. I think in the past 10 years, that's happened like 5 times. So that's not completely unreasonable. I mean, even this decade, you had Ma Rainey's Black Bottom win costume design. You had Cruella win costume design. You had Black Panther Wakanda Forever win costume design. So it's like, you can win costume design without a Best Picture nomination, and that's easier. And even with makeup, you don't need to be in Best Picture. Look at movies like, what was it? The Whale, that wasn't in Best Picture, that won makeup. The Eyes of Tammy Faye, again, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Bombshell, the Suicide Squad. You can win makeup without, you can win costumes and makeup without Best Picture. But for some reason, with production design, it is really tied into Best Picture. And again, there's Frankenstein, and a lot of people are saying that could win production design. But again, it's not in Best Picture. This category is so tied in with Best Picture, I can't do it. And so, yeah, even though I don't know why a movie that's, for the most part, just a barn, even though, granted, there are, there's like a city that's built, and there are some really impressive landscapes that they film in, and I'm not sure if that would count as production design either. I mean, and there's also the train station, so they do go to some locations, but it's just like, I just don't know. Again, the only other option I have that I have in Best Picture is Avatar: Fire and Ash. But again, the second film did not win. But even then, that was more competitive in terms of Best Picture films. This year isn't. And again, Avatar: Fire and Ash would also fill that quota of, if you're going to win production design, you usually win another Oscar, because it's going to win visual effects. So, yeah, again, it's chaotic. I don't really know what's happening, but Sinners is my safe bet right now. It's the safest option I got. And then for the last nomination, it's not going to win. Now we're just talking about nominations. Fantastic Four: First Steps. The production design is something that everyone has been talking about. Everyone's been talking about how crazy the production design is in the film. And I'm not going to lie, I'm very curious about that. Because I remember I saw the trailers for Fantastic Four, and I was like, this is something the production designers branch would probably do, because it's a mix of sci-fi and period film. It kind of has that Jetsons look to it, and I feel like that might actually very much attract, production designers. It is something very unique. And I know people will try to say, well, the only MCU film to ever get nominated for production design was Black Panther, and, Black Panther Wakanda Forever couldn't do it. Okay, but let's just take it all into context here, okay? Aside from Fantastic Four, the only Marvel Cinematic Universe film that had very noteworthy production design was Black Panther. I mean, maybe you could also say Thor, the first Thor, and, Captain America, the first Avenger probably had some pretty notable production design, but it's also with Thor, we didn't really stay on Asgard long. And also with, something like, Captain America, the first Avenger, I mean, maybe it could have been nominated, but maybe not. I don't know. I don't know how close it actually was, but still. I mean, but with Black Panther, it was there was something so new and so unique about it. and the way the sets looked. And with Wakanda Forever, I'll just say this: the reason why it didn't get in was because they didn't really go to any new locations, and the one new location they did go to, which was Talocan, I think the underwater kingdom. It was so murky and dark, it's like you couldn't see anything. So it's like, of course that didn't get nominated for production design. It's mostly just the same sets, and the sets that and the one new big location that we do get into, we don't really see that much of it. Whereas Fantastic Four First Steps, it is blatant in, at least from what it seems. I haven't seen the film, but I'm just going off of the trailers and the set photos and the set videos and stuff. It is blatantly all production design, like all crazy production design. So I do actually think it can pull it off. Especially, again, considering the weak competition that we're seeing. I mean, maybe Kiss of the Spider-Woman could get in. That's not impossible, honestly, because it does have that kind of classic Hollywood feel to it in terms of the musical sequences, and it also has, like, the prisons that feel still a little bit more fantastical than usual, so that's not impossible. Bugonia is a little bit too contemporary for my taste, but I don't know, maybe it could, like, Parasite its way in there, but even then, Parasite had very impressive production design, so I don't know. Murray Supreme, we've not had a lot of good looks at this film as of yet, so I don't know. The Testament of Ann Lee, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be very strong. Well, for one, I don't think it's going to be very strong in Best Picture, even though, granted, a lot of the other films are not strong in Best Picture. But if it's not strong in Best Picture, then you kind of need to be, like, very showy in your production design. And at least from the one image that we're seeing, it's like nothing really about it looks all that insane in terms of text. So I don't know. Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere. It doesn't really look all that crazy, so probably not. No Other Choice. I don't know. There is a Dracula movie. I think it's directed by Luc Besson. But, I don't know. Maybe you could get in. Maybe. But at the same time, I don't know. Because, like, the film also, like, looks very reminiscent of, like, Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula film, like Bram Stoker's Dracula. Like, almost to the extent of where, like, and we'll talk about a little bit of spoilers for makeup. The vampire looks a lot like the one from Bram Stoker's Dracula. Like, a lot. So it might be seen as very derivative. Mickey 17 is not impossible for production design. It does have very cool production design in it. But again, is it going to be campaigned that much? I don't know. Superman, the production design looks very fun and bright. I don't know if they would do that, though. It still is kind of rooted in some contemporariness. The Phoenician Scheme, I'm done predicting Wes Anderson movies and production design, so probably not. Tron Ares, I mean, then again, I would say, maybe, but then also, they're also in the real world a lot. So I don't know, but it does look like we do go back to Tron, like the Tron world, and it does look pretty cool. It looks like a hybrid of, like, Tron Legacy and the original Tron. It does look pretty cool, but I don't think, if Tron Legacy couldn't get in, and that was, like, one of the most stunning, like, achievements in production design I've seen this century, it's like, the new one's probably not going to get in. We don't know what Hamnet looks like. Sound of Falling, I don't know. Snow White, probably not. And then Hedda, So yeah, I don't know. Weak looking field so far this year. Costume design. All right, we have Sinners. I think, again, this one is not as tied into Best Picture, so you could maybe say Frankenstein wins here. That's not entirely crazy. Kiss of the Spider-Woman, again, not crazy. Wicked? Well, maybe. I still might think Sinners gets the win, because, like, the costumes are done by Ruthie Carter, and, she's, like, a pretty big deal over at the Academy. And also, there's that whole I Lied to You sequence where you see, like, all the, like, the history of, black culture represented through music, and you see all these costumes and stuff. So it's like, I feel like that could get Sinners the win. Frankenstein, again, that's a very solid one. And Kiss of the Spider-Woman, even if it were to flop in Best Picture, I would still think that it has a shot in costume design. I genuinely do think that. And if I'm not mistaken, didn't Colleen Atwood do the costumes for Kiss of the Spider-Woman? Yep, Colleen Atwood is the production designer. So, no, not production designer, the costume designer. God, I can't speak today. So yeah, I think Kiss the Spider-Woman could get in here. Like, even if it doesn't get in anywhere else, it's like the costumes are definitely showy enough, and this is a category where you most certainly can get into the category without being in Best Picture, so why not? Wicked for Good? Probably. Yeah, we could. Yeah, we'll see. And then we have Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere. If there's one thing I have learned when it comes to Oppenheimer and A Complete Unknown, it is that one thing, because I watched like the costume design video for like the 2023 films, which included like, you know, Poor Things, Barbie, Oppenheimer, Killers, and all that. And one thing they mentioned about Oppenheimer was the silhouette of it all. Like even if the costume design was mainly, you know, dudes in suits, the silhouette of J. Robert Oppenheimer was very, very important to them. And I was like, okay. And that's something that you also kind of see with A Complete Unknown. It's like you see a silhouette of Timothée Chalamet and you can go, oh, okay, that's Bob Dylan. And I feel like the same thing could go for like Bruce Springsteen. You see him, I mean, hell, like literally the first image of this film was him in that, you know, in like his, you know, blue jean jacket and with, you know, and again, he was all silhouetted up. And it's like, yeah, you recognize him as Bruce Springsteen. I think the power of the silhouette could probably be in favor for Deliver Me From Nowhere. So probably. Marty Supreme, they have a lot of characters. They have a lot of costumes. We'll have to see how this goes. Again, I really, really need to see a trailer. And it's not even going to any fall fest, so it's just going to be like a December premiere. And it's like, Dracula, again, it looks very showy in its costume design. It does look pretty cool. But again, how similar is this going to be to Bram Stoker's Dracula? I'm not sure. The Testament of Anne Lee. From the image, the costumes don't look all that crazy, so I don't know. Fantastic Four First Steps, it does have pretty cool costumes in terms of, like, you know, all the citizens and stuff, because they're very, like, period-looking costumes. But would it get nominated? I don't know. That might be asking too much from the Academy. Hedda, I don't know. Hamnet, Phoenician Scheme, Downton Abbey, and Snow White. I don't know. So we'll have to see. But I don't know. I'm feeling pretty good about this 5 right now, as of right now. So yeah. Then we get to makeup and hairstyling, and this is where things get very interesting. Because I do have the Smashing Machine winning for now, and again, you do not need Best Picture in order to win makeup and hairstyling. You don't need Best Picture. Like, you can still win. So there is that. And I will say, when you look at the trailers for the Smashing Machine, they did a really good job, like, changing the way Dwayne Johnson looks. So, and I think they have like Kazuhiro doing the makeup, and he's like one of the best makeup artists around today. So again, as long as people don't hate this movie like they did Maestro, I think the Smashing Machine could win. I think it could win this category, as long as people, because like, and I still contend to this. Sure, the Maestro hate didn't really stop it from getting nominated for a bunch of awards, but it probably stopped it from winning any awards. And like, people just couldn't really, get out of the whole, Maestro hate. And that's why it lost makeup, despite the fact that it won like the biggest prize at the Makeup and Hairstylist Guild Awards. And hell, it didn't even win at the Critics' Choice Awards. They gave it to Barbie, which didn't even get shortlisted for makeup. So it's like, as long as people don't as long as the general audiences do not actively hate this film, it could win. But again, Frankenstein could win as well. Again, you don't need Best Picture, so that's good. And maybe the Frankenstein makeup effects look so good that it could win. We'll have to see. I'm not completely sure about that. But again, who knows? Christie. This is the Christy Martin biopic. And I'm becoming a little bit more convinced that this could get nominated, because one thing I did not know about this film was that it was going to be showing her life, like at least a part, like, it's not, obviously, I don't think it's going to show, like, all of her life, but it's going to show her career from, like, the 2000s to certain things that she experienced in 2010. So you go from like the 1990s all the way to 2010. I think this is going to be like a film that has like different types of makeup. Like, it's probably going to have, it's probably going to have, the boxing makeup that was like, oh, her face is swollen. But later in her life, we might see some old age makeup. So that could happen. Wicked for good. I mean, maybe this could fall off. We'll have to see, but I see no reason to doubt it for now. Especially if, like, because I'm very curious as to how they're gonna do, certain characters. I'm not gonna say what they're gonna do in case there's spoilers, but I do know that there are characters that appear in this film, and I'm wondering, are they gonna be makeup or are they gonna be CGI? I don't know. We'll have to see. And then one other thing, The Wizard of the Kremlin is, at least I think, coming out this year, because it was announced for at least a couple of the fall festivals. And this is the film that will have Jude Law as Vladimir Putin. And you see him a little bit in the back there, but I'm very curious as to what he, like, fully looks like. So we will have to see. But right now, I think it could happen. And so, yeah, on the outskirts of that, maybe Superman, because they do have Metamorpho in the film. He's like the dude that can create a bunch of elements, and there is a lot of makeup on him, but I am very concerned considering, a lot, like, the only James Gunn film to get nominated for makeup was the first Guardians of the Galaxy. Because Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 didn't get nominated, The Suicide Squad didn't get nominated, and even Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which I feel should have won, didn't even make the shortlist for makeup. I'm like, what the hell? So, that's kind of what I don't know. I'm a little bit, Wolfman, I mean, the makeup is pretty interesting, but at the same time, they usually don't go for horror, and yes, I know they did a couple of horror movies last year with The Substance and Nosferatu. Those are the exceptions, not the rule. I need to see this as a pattern in the next few years for me to believe, oh yeah, they will just nominate horror movies again. I don't know. I have to stick to that principle. There is also Sinners, and it is in Best Picture, but I don't know. There's not really enough, like, big showy makeup in the film. I mean, there's like a little bit around the third act, but it's only like for like a minute or so, and I don't know if they would actually nominated for that. And other than that, there's not really much else going on in terms of makeup. I mean, there's some hairstyling, of course, like period hairstyling, but like, West Side Story had that as well, and that didn't get in. Killers of the Flower Moon didn't get in because of only hair. And I know people will try to say, well, Wicked got in if it was mostly hair, but it's like, those are also like very like wacky, like fantasy characters with like crazy ass hairdos. This is mainly just like period accurate hairstyling. So I don't know if that's enough. Good luck, have fun, don't die. That's the new Gore Verbinski film. I'm not even sure if this is going to be coming out this year, but I don't even know, like, but hearing the synopsis, it's like, I don't know how much visual effects or makeup it's going to have. So we'll have to see. I don't know. Dracula, again, not impossible, but he looks almost exactly like Gary Oldman's Dracula and Bram Stoker's Dracula. So I don't know. 28 years later, again, I don't want to bank on a horror movie right now, and especially not a zombie horror movie. That's another thing. Zombie horror movies don't really get nominated. Like, you can get nominated for, like, vampires and werewolves and stuff, or body horror. Not really for zombies. Zombies don't really get nominated for that. The Toxic Avenger is pretty interesting. That might, like, I could see that if it gets into the short list, I'd be like, that might get in, because they did very much transform an actor completely. But I don't know how strong this is going to be as a whole. I mean, granted, Golda did get nominated for makeup, and I did call that, and that was like a nothing movie. But at the same time, that was also a biopic. And so you're trying to transform Helen Mirren into this one character. So that might be different than the Toxic Avenger, but I don't know. The Ugly Stepsister, I don't know. Kiss of the Spider Woman, it could probably even get shortlisted, but knowing what this film is probably like, it's probably not going to have any prosthetics. Oop, hold on. So yeah, I'm not sure about Kiss of the Spider Woman. Let's see, Captain America: Brave New World. They do have. Is his name the leader? Like, it's Tim Blake Nelson's character. He has makeup. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I still need to see this movie. Why have I not watched this movie? I need to watch it. But however, I don't know how much screen time he has, even though there is quite a bit of makeup on him. I'm not sure. Let's see. How to Train Your Dragon. I don't know. Probably not. There's probably not a lot of prosthetic stuff in there. Probably not Marty Supreme, The Testament of Van Lee. Probably not. Springsteen, Deliver Me from Nowhere. I don't know. Again, I really want to look for more of the prosthetic stuff. I need to look for more prosthetic stuff. But, that's all I've been able to find right now. If you're able to find a prosthetic movie, let me know in the comments below what you think. Visual effects. I still have the same top 5 as before. I still have Avatar winning. As long as they're it's in Best Picture, or there are no other as long as it is in Best Picture, or if it's not in Best Picture, there are no Best Picture films nominated for visual effects. I think it's in the clear to win. But however, right now I'll just say it wins right now. Okay. And then Wicked for Good. I think even if it doesn't get Best Picture, visual effects can still happen. I mean, you still got a lot of visual effects going on in Wicked for Good, and it looks like it's going to be even more large scale than the last one. So, yeah. Fantastic Four, First Steps. I was like, as long as people don't hate Fantastic Four, it's going to get nominated. And it seems like that is the case. Like, people seem to really like Fantastic Four, so I think it's going to get nominated, so yeah. And apparently there's a lot more space stuff than I initially thought, so, Superman, there is still that question of, is the DC bias still there? Because, the DC EU movies, none of them got nominated, and really none of them got shortlisted. I mean, there was technically Birds of Prey that got shortlisted, but it's also, not, that came out, in a pandemic year, where there was no visual effects contenders whatsoever. So it's kind of you kind of have to put an asterisk aside, beside, Birds of Prey. So I don't know. So I'm not sure how they're going to view Superman or the DCU. Are they going to see it as separate from the DCEU? I mean, I don't know. Because if Superman does not even get shortlisted, I am never predicting a DC movie that's not like The Batman ever again. No. But I'm just going to go on a limb and say they won't, the visual effects branch is not going to completely disown this film, so, hey. And I still think Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning can get in. I mean, yeah, it wasn't the biggest box office success, but neither was the last film. And the reviews are still pretty good, so I don't see any reason to doubt it right now. F1 the movie, I have skyrocketed up to number 6 because apparently there are over, let me look at this because, this is from a public tweet, so I don't have to worry about, leaking any information or whatever. But apparently there are around 2,500 visual effects shots in F1. And apparently there were tons of CG car reskinning of real race action, full CG shots, weather augmentation, making one track look like another, etc. That's fascinating. I need to see a visual effects breakdown of this film. I need to see a visual effects breakdown for F1 because that is fascinating to me. How much of that movie actually was CG, and is it, seamless enough? Because my argument for saying that F1 would not get in is because race car movies don't get in. Ford v Ferrari didn't get in, Rush didn't get in, Ferrari didn't get in. So I'm not really sure about F1. But, I mean, again, who knows? We'll have to see how much visual effects. I mean, I need to see a reel. Again, I need to see the visual effects reel to see what's going on in this film. Because if there's truly a lot of CGI and just no one noticed, I probably will put it in the top 5. we'll have to see. Thunderbolts, I think this is still a good option to have in the top 10 for visual effects, because, like, again, people still seem to quite like the Thunderbolts, and I know some people are going to try to say, but there's no visual effects in this movie. No, there's tons of visual effects in the film. No, it's probably more grounded visual effects than you usually see from Marvel. But people acting like there's like no CGI in the film. It's like, no, come on, guys. It's Marvel. There's going to be tons of CGI. So, yeah. Jurassic World Rebirth, it's probably not going to get nominated, especially with the reviews that it has. But even then, I still wouldn't say it would get nominated, because the last Jurassic Park film to get nominated was The Lost World in like 1997. So this one's probably not going to get nominated, either. This one's probably not going to get nominated, but I do think it will get shortlisted. Like, I looked on Award Expert, and it seems like a lot of people do not think this is going to get into the shortlist. I mean, let me just make sure that I'm not, like, crazy. Like people just don't have Jurassic World Rebirth in the top 10. And I'm like, are you guys crazy? Because, like, yeah, let me look. Okay, no, Jurassic World Rebirth actually did make it into the top 10. Okay, it is in the top 10 now, but it's at number 10. I think it should be, but at the same time, there's also other films there, like Frankenstein, in the top 10. It's like, why would Frankenstein be in the shortlist for visual effects? No. Like, I remember when people were even saying, oh, Nightmare Alley is going to get nominated for visual effects. I'm like, what? Because I remember I read the synopsis for not only that movie, but the original film, the original Nightmare Alley, and looking up the synopsis of the book, and I was like, what visual effects would even be in this film to warrant that? Like, I get it, like Guillermo del Toro makes some very, visually breathtaking movies, but they have never gotten visual effects nominations. And I was right about Nightmare Alley. Like, it didn't even get shortlisted. And again, weird that the Critics' Choice Awards nominated Nightmare Alley for visual effects. It's like, what? Like, guys, come on. It's like the same visual effects you see in, like, any film. Just basic set extensions and maybe some CG snow in some places, but it's not like anything that most other movies can't already do. That was ridiculous. But Frankenstein, I don't think Frankenstein's going to get nominated. I really don't. I'm not even going to... hell, you can even... I mean, it might eventually make the top 20, but I'm just not considering it right now. I'm just not going to consider it for the top 10. But let's see. I do think Jurassic World Rebirth will make the shortlist. All of the Jurassic Park movies, even the ones that didn't get nominated, they all made the final shortlist. So and this looks like it has like the best visual effects out of all of them, so why not? The Lost Bus. We did get a new trailer for The Lost Bus, and I am very curious, because this is a film that maybe could get in. But again, this is one where I really do need to see the film, because it could be one of two things. It could be Deepwater Horizon, where that film like had like a shit ton of CG fire, and it was like very dynamic and like big scenes. And ultimately it got in to the Oscars. Or this film is more like, was that movie called 13 Lives, which granted was not fire, but even though there was a sizable amount of visual effects in the film, but it's mostly like so minimal that it's like not like the Oscars just didn't really nominate it. And that's why I'm really wondering for The Lost Bus. Is it going to be like big visual effects stuff going on, or is it going to be like, not obviously it's looking like it's not going to be as minimal as 13 Lives, but I'm still very curious about this. And it looks like there are some scenes where like they get out of the bus and they have to trudge through like fire and stuff. And I'm very curious. I need to see this movie. I need to see, what this could be in terms of a visual effects player, because it might end up being that. And then Tron Ares, I don't think Tron Ares is going to get nominated because, none of the Tron movies have been nominated thus far. The first film, and again, I want to clear out any kind of thing. It's like, Tron Legacy, no, not Tron Legacy. Tron, the first Tron, the original Tron, it was not disqualified from the visual effects shortlist. It was not disqualified. It was shortlisted, and it could have been nominated. They did not revoke its placement in the shortlist or anything, but there was not a visual effects branch back then, and it was mainly like technical engineers and stuff, like people. Basically, it was not done by CGI. There was no visual effects branch. It was voted on by various craftsmen people. And they just did not want to nominate Tron, the original Tron, because they thought it was cheating and that it would take away their jobs if it got nominated. Oh, the irony. So, yeah, like, it wasn't disqualified. The original Tron was not disqualified from visual effects, but, because again, if they wanted to revoke its placement in the shortlist, they could have. You know, look at the song from Better Man. You know, the Better Man song. I forget what that song was called. Initially, that did make the shortlist for Best Original Song, but ultimately it was revoked when the music branch determined that it was too similar to a previously existing song. Why they didn't figure that out before putting it in the shortlist, I don't know. But still, the Academy has shown that even if you're in the shortlist, that could be revoked. So, Tron did not have its nomination revoked. It was not disqualified from the visual effects race. They just did not want to vote for it. And then there's Tron Legacy, which again was also shortlisted, but it was not nominated for visual effects. I don't think Tron Ares is going to get nominated for visual effects. It looks like it's going to have some of the best visual effects of the year. It looks like it's going to be really cool to look at, but they're probably not going to nominate it. Like, none of the Tron movies have gotten nominated. Mickey 17, I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's going to get nominated for visual effects, especially now that I actually do have a pretty solid 10 that I could easily see making the shortlist, but we'll have to see. Captain America Brave New World. If this movie was even remotely better received than it currently is, it probably would make the shortlist. But however, especially these days, you don't really get into the shortlist at Marvel if your film is not at least well received. The only film to do this or to break this was Eternals. But even then, that got one nomination at the Visual Effects Society Awards. So I don't know. Good luck, have fun, don't die. I don't think that's gonna get nominated, or at the very least, I don't know if I can put it in the shortlist right now because it's I don't know what this movie even looks like. So yeah, a Minecraft movie. I actually have seen a Minecraft movie now. I really wonder if it could get shortlisted. It probably won't, but there is a lot of visual effects in a Minecraft movie. And but to be honest, I don't know whether the green screen augmentation is good or bad. It's it's very strange. There are some points where it doesn't look all that great, but at the same time, it almost kind of looks like it was done done that way on purpose, but which doesn't really help its visual effects chances. But there is still a lot of visual effects in the film. It's probably not going to get shortlisted, but it's worth mentioning. Predator Badlands. I don't think it's going to get nominated like the last Predator. I think the only Predator film to get nominated was the first film. And I don't think it's going to be like an Alien Romulus situation where that film was set in space and you had a lot of space visual effects. I don't know if we're going to quite get any of that in Predator Badlands. Paddington in Peru, probably not. Warfare, I don't know. People are really latching on to How to Train Your Dragon. It's number 7 on Award Expert. I'm like, what? Guys, come on. It's they don't nominate dragons and dinosaurs, really, in visual effects. They don't really do that. I mean, they do it so little to where, even Reign of Fire in 2002 couldn't get shortlisted. And that actually would have been a worthy nomination. They just don't really I think the reason why they don't really nominate dragons and dinosaur movies is because, scales, I think, scaly creatures are probably considered easier to do than mammals with fur and skin and stuff. So maybe that's it, but I don't know. Lilo and Stitch, probably not. The Electric State, probably not. Snow White, Sinners is absolutely not going to happen. Absolutely not. Oh my god, it's number 12 on Award Expert. That's funny. That's funny. It's like, guys, just because it's in Best Picture does not mean it's going to get nominated for visual effects. The Critics' Choice Awards will absolutely do it because they are pigs for anything that is in Best Picture. They'll go, Best Picture. God, that hurt my throat. Hold on a second. But yeah, I don't know. So yeah, next we get to sound. All right, sound. Sinners, I feel like could win sound, if I'm being completely honest. It's like a music movie and it has guns, so why not? Actually, no. How many guns are even in this movie? It's probably not a lot of guns, but it's like... There's still like a lot of violence and action happening, so why not? Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere. It's probably going to have that sweet, sweet sound mixing. So probably, yeah. Avatar, Fire and Ash. This seems pretty obvious. F1, the movie. I think it could get nominated for sound. I think it honestly could. I don't think it's going to win because, again, you kind of need to be in Best Picture to win sound. I mean, you know, in the expanded Best Picture era, there has only been one film that won any sound Oscar, even when we had sound editing and sound mixing. Only one film that won Best Sound, that won a sound Oscar, that was not in Best Picture, and that was Skyfall. But it tied with Zero Dark 30, which was a film that was in Best Picture. And especially now that they've combined sound editing and sound mixing into Best Sound, you don't win Best Sound if you're not in Best Picture. You just don't do that. You just don't. So I'm not going to consider F1 to win Best Sound. No way. They just don't go for non-Best Picture films. I think Sinners, again, it makes the most sense here. It has music, it has violence, violence and music and sex on TV. Like, where? I don't know why I just compared Sinners to Family Guy. I don't know. And Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. And that's a safe pick. That's a pretty safe pick. One battle after another. I mean, maybe it could. We'll have to see. Tron Ares. I will say, both Tron and Tron Legacy did get nominated for sound Oscars. That is worth considering. But would they go for something like this now? I don't know. Kiss of the Spider-Woman. I mean, if this were in Best Picture, absolutely yes. But I don't know. Wicked for Good. Again, if this actually does turn out to be in Best Picture, it will get nominated for Best Sound. You bet your ass. Like, because musical movies in Best Picture do get nominated for Best Sound. The Running Man. It could probably get shortlisted, but I don't see it getting nominated. The Lost Bus. I mean, we'll have to see how that goes, but probably not. But I don't know. Maybe it's just that showy of a contender. Frankenstein, I don't know. It doesn't really sound like a strong sound contender. Begonia, I don't know. House of Dynamite, Warfare would be interesting, but however, because it flopped so bad at the box office, it's probably not going to do that. But yeah, I don't know. Rivals of Mzai King, again, if this were in Best Picture, easy yes, but probably not right now. Thunderbolts, they don't nominate Marvel movies. From the World of John Wick, Ballerina, Superman, History of Sound, Mickey 17. Again, I don't know. I don't really see it happening right now, but I don't know. But, so yeah, right now I am pretty, solidly in there for Sinners. I just realized, 4 of these movies are like very orange. It's a very orange year in terms of movies. Sort of like our president being orange. But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, original score. Sinners. This is its most likely award. Even if it loses everything else, it has to win score. It has to. Begonia. I think this is a good bet to make. Sentimental Value. Why not? It's probably going to get nominated. Jay Kelly. Yeah. And that's the thing. I do want to keep this to Best Picture films. Like, if a film is not, like, because one thing we have seen in recent years, they will prioritize Best Picture films over non-Best Picture films in score. So, I don't want to take the risk on something that's not already in Best Picture, and I just realized, like, Award Expert has After the Hunt and One Battle After Another in score, but are they, okay, so they do have them they do have those movies in Best Picture, so, okay. But so even something like Frankenstein, which I feel like Frankenstein could probably get a couple of precursors, I don't think it's going to get nominated because, again, it's just not in Best Picture. Or at the very least, like, sure, you will sometimes see non-Best Picture films get nominated, but it's usually because they, like, limit the shortlist. Or, like, the number of Best Picture films are limited on the shortlist. Or John Williams is there somehow. Like, for example, like, this year, sure, only 4 Best Picture nominees got nominated for score, but there were only 4 Best Picture nominees in the short list. So they kind of maxed out, and that's when they went for The Wild Robot. Avatar Fire and Ash, I don't know, maybe, but again, I don't know. Is this thing on? I am very curious as to what score this film will kind of have, so I'm not sure. I think I already mentioned One Battle After Another. But I'm not sure how much of a score contender this film is going to end up being, so I don't know. No Other Choice. Again, I need to know how strong it is in Best Picture. We'll have to see. Train Dreams, Ballad of a Small Player, Wicked for Good, The Life of Chuck, Marty Supreme, After the Hunt, The Testament of Anne Lee, The Rivals of Amaziah King, F1 the Movie, Fantastic Four, First Steps. I don't know. Again, I want to prioritize Best Picture films more than anything right now, so yeah. I did take out Superman because after seeing Superman, I kind of realized, oh wait, the score is not really all that original because most of it is like it does sound great, but like the music is really good, but it's also like mostly just like, you know, motifs from the Superman, like the original Superman theme. It's always like, you know, like or at least like some rendition of that. And I think I think they might there might even be like an announcement made that, oh, Superman has been disqualified from Best Original Score. But it's also like, well, yeah, because it reuses the Superman theme a lot. So yeah. And I mean a lot. Like it uses that theme a lot in the film. And again, it works in its favor, but, you know, I could see why it wouldn't be eligible for score. So yeah. Best Original Song is really hard because it's like, I don't know what's going on. I don't really know what's going on. I lied to you. I think it actually will win. And you're probably wondering, wait, you don't have Girl in the Bubble and No Place Like Home nominated? But it's also like, because apparently those are the songs that Wicked for Good, the original songs for Wicked for Good. Girl in the Bubble, I think, is the Ariana Grande song, and No Place Like Home is the Cynthia Erivo song. But again, I've been having my doubts on Wicked for Good, and where it's like the people are very mixed on the second act of the film. No, the second act of the show. And if people are mixed on it, it's probably going to be the same thing for the movie. And and if that happens, it's probably not going to get nominated for original song, especially since there's not a whole lot of, especially since I think like in like this decade, the only 2 like musical adaptations to get song nominations were Les Miserables and I think Chicago. I think those were the only ones to do that. So it's like, I don't know. Diane Warren, Relentless, obviously, because she's Diane Warren. If Bruce Springsteen has a song for Deliver Me From Nowhere, maybe that happens. I really think because Avatar is probably going to have a song in there. It's probably going to have a song, but is it going to get nominated? I don't think so. But I'm just trying to like keep it very safe right now. I'm going to try. I want to try to keep it safe. So I do want to try, again, I do want to stick with a Best Picture film in there, which again is not the be all or end all, but, you know, for example, Killers of the Flower Moon managed to surprise in Best Original Song. So it's like, I don't know, I want to be cautious. And whatever song is in Zootopia 2, do I really think it's going to get nominated? Probably not, but again, I don't really know what else is going on right now. Just Keep Watching from F1, Dangerous from Sinners. Honestly, I could maybe see a world where we get like multiple songs nominated for Sinners. That could maybe happen. I don't know. Whatever song is in Maserati, The Brothers, it's Diane Warren, so she can get in for that. There is also Golden from K-Pop Demon Hunters. And we'll get into this later on with animated feature, because we're going to talk about K-Pop Demon Hunters, definitely. But I don't know. I mean, animated movies that are not Disney really struggle to get in this category. I mean, even The Wild Robot, despite even getting score and sound nominations, it still couldn't get into song. So it's like, I just don't know. I don't know about this one. Even though Golden is a very good song, even though in my opinion, that's not that should not be the priority for Best Original Song. I feel like, what was it? This Is What It Feels Like, and what was that? What was that other song called? How It's Done. I feel like those two songs are even better than, Golden. Especially, I feel like, This Is What It Sounds Like makes even more sense considering that's like the very big, like, emotional song of the film, in my opinion, at least. And, Rivals of Anxiety King probably has some original songs, but, like, it's probably not going to be in Best Picture, so, and it looks to be very, very low profile at this point, so, yeah. Animated feature. Alright, Zootopia 2, I think is probably the most likely one to win right now, because this year is looking very, very weak. So weak, honestly. Elio, like, the reviews are not amazing, but again, with a year this weak, it might just still stumble in. In Your Dreams, I know the trailer came out, people are not really sold on it. I still am. I'm still willing to hear this movie out. Like, it's Netflix. I do think it can like surprise people. What is it? Little Amelie or the character of Rain. The reviews for this seem pretty strong, somewhat, so I guess. The Bad Guys 2, I don't know. Do I really think it's going to get nominated? Probably not. But again, let's take a look at some of the other contenders. I Am Frank Kelda. It doesn't look like it's going to any of the fall festivals, so I'm not sure where this film is gonna happen, honestly. Scarlet is actually doing a pretty big fall festival run, which is very good for it. But however, even though I'm very excited for it, it is also an anime action film, and I just don't know if they're going to nominate that. It's an anime action film, and you already have to convince the Academy very hard to nominate a non-Ghibli anime film to nominate a non-Ghibli animated film. And so, but it's a whole other thing to try to do, like, an anime action film, which is why, we didn't get Suzume nominated, which Suzume would have been a great nominee. I wish that got in over freaking Elemental, or Elemental as I like to call it, because it's mid. But they didn't do it. And so, yeah, Scarlet, I feel like would be a great nominee, because I do think it's going to be great, but again, anime action films just don't really do well at the Oscars. And then here comes the one that pains me to leave out, because K-pop Demon Hunters deserves to win. I don't care what else comes out this year. There is no way any animated film, in my opinion, is going to be better than K-pop Demon Hunters. Like, it is a really creative, really funny, like, musically pleasing. Like, the music is incredible in the film. And definitely one of the more emotional films I've seen this year. Like it's so well done. But, however, the problem is it's called K-pop Demon Hunters. And I've literally done live streams where I was talking about this movie, and I've actually had to beg and convince people in chat to watch it, because they're like, really? This movie looks stupid. I'm not going to watch it. And I'm like, no, it's really good, though. It's really good. It's fantastic, even. It's not even, like, really good. It's, like, a fucking amazing movie. So, the fact that I have to try to convince people to watch it, why would the Academy do it? Like, why? Like, the Academy is, like, can be, like, so stuck up their own ass when it comes to animated films that they didn't even nominate the Lego Movie. They didn't even nominate the Lego Batman movie, despite that being a weaker year. And then those Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. And I know people will try to go, well, those are IP films. Like, we've had IP films nominated before, like Spider-Verse. Like, But there's just, for me, I feel like there's just something about, a Lego movie, we don't have to take that seriously. A Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, we don't have to take that seriously. K-pop, even though I do feel like it is an art form that really should be respected, even though I personally don't listen to a lot of it, a lot of older folks are not gonna give a shit about K-pop. I mean, let's be real here. They're gonna think it's like, oh, that's something that the kids like, the dumb kids. Like, that's just, we don't need to take a movie that talks about, that's about K-pop artists that seriously. They're not gonna watch the movie. They're not gonna watch the movie. It's like, no. Like, the only way I will be convinced that K-pop Demon Hunters is legitimately happening is if it gets nominated for the BAFTA. If the BAFTAs actually do nominate K-pop Demon Hunters, then I will change my tune. I'm like, okay, it's in now. Because, like, the BAFTAs are really stuck up their own ass sometimes. I mean, hell, they didn't even nominate Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem, or Nimona. And Nimona actually did get the Oscar nomination. So, that's kind of why I'm looking at. It's like, if K-pop Demon Hunters can get nominated for the BAFTA, I'll change my tune immediately. But right now, I feel like K-pop Demon Hunters is something legitimately too cool for the Academy to nominate. Even though it deserves to win, like, the fact that again, I feel like this is probably only going to appeal to people that are either I think really this is only going to appeal to people that are, like, in their, like, what, mid-20s or younger or something like that. I feel like that's just going to be the case, and it's so sad because I really, really love this movie, but I just don't think they're cool enough to do it. I think they're not going to nominate it. I know a lot of people have Arco in, but I'm not gonna lie, I kept looking at the reviews for Arco, and they're not amazing. They're really not. Like, Arco has like an 80-something% of Rotten Tomatoes, and didn't it have like a 60-something, like a 6 point something out of 10 average rating? That's not great. That's not great at all. I don't believe in Arco one bit. The Twits, I don't think looks very good. Savages, I don't know. I know A24 is going to try to re-release Neja 2 with an English dubbed cast, but I think even the trailer for the dub of Neja 2, like, people still do not care about it. Or at least America still does not care about that movie. I mean, let me just make sure. Neja 2. Yeah, it has like, it has like 9.2 million views. Okay, that's not bad. But at the same time, I just don't, but then again, it's also A24. How many, review, okay, yeah, A24 is not like the biggest YouTube channel out there, so I don't know. I just don't think Neja 2 is the kind of film that they would nominate. I don't know. I don't know. It made over $2 billion worldwide, but it's also like that $2 billion came from China, not the U.S. Like, the U.S. just, like, Neja 2 did not make any money in the U.S. I don't really think an American dub is gonna change much. So, I don't know. And then Dogman's probably not gonna happen. But yeah, again, this year for animated features looking very weak. Again, what are some of the ones that other people are predicting? Let me go on to animated feature. Yeah, and the K-pop Demon Hunters is number 4 on the list, for, the Community on Award Expert. I hope it gets nominated. And again, it deserves to win. It deserves it. But I just think it's going to be legitimately too cool. Oh yeah, I forgot. I also took out A Magnificent Life out of the list entirely because, like, the reviews for that movie were very underwhelming. Animal Farm, that's absolutely not going to happen. No way. Why is a Minecraft movie number 14? Okay, these people aren't serious. I don't know what are they doing? What are they doing? But yeah, guys, those are my predictions for the below the line categories at the Oscars. So yeah, I'm going to pass the question off to you. What are your below the line predictions for next year's Academy Awards? Let me know in the comments below what you think, and be sure you hit that subscribe button, because if you don't, the K-pop Demon Hunters are going to hunt you.